Stafford gets under center at the 11-yard line. He takes it. He turns. He gives to Kyron Williams. He gets packed. I think he's short, Tim. I think he's short. And the 49ers stormed the field. It is all over. The 49ers have won it in overtime here in L.A.
What an unbelievable win. High drama finishes in favor of the MASH unit, the 49ers, and they earned it.
The MASH unit 49ers do get it done. We'll put an asterisk on that earn because the Rams made a lot of mistakes. Welcome in to NFL Daily Thursday Night Football Recap. Patrick Claybon here with Nick Shook, joining you for the comfort of our homes in a game that was in my adopted home of Los Angeles, California, where the 49ers should come up with an improbable win against the Rams, but Matthew Stafford falls to 1-4 at SoFi against Kyle Shanahan and these 49ers. Good to see you, man. What a finish. What a game.
Yeah, good to see you too. I'm trying to think about 1-4 at SoFi against Kyle Shanahan. That one game he won would have been the NFC Championship game on the way to their Super Bowl victory,
I
right?
believe so. If I'm going to check that while we do this. But yeah, the one being a doozy.
The one that mattered the most.
But the other ones,
yeah,
there's some weird ones in there, and this was one of them.
Yeah, this was definitely weird. I mean, I feel like this was a bit of a marathon. It was an odyssey of sorts. I felt like I needed a nap after it was over. And it was also a fantastic chess match, I think, of two coaches from the same tree. And again, another great example of why I wish we could have every game in Prime Vision, because it just opens up what you can see. And what you could see there was them both using their approaches, that whether they're going to come in tight formation and try to capitalize outside the numbers, whether they're going to motion a lot, whether they're going to capitalize on one defense suddenly switching to man in the fourth quarter and victimizing you with Devontae Adams with some potentially illegal screens, like setting some natural rubs, all sorts of different things. It was just back and forth chess match. Chess piece moved here, another piece moved here. Felt like I was sitting in a park and guys are making a move and hitting the clock. Like it was a fantastic back and forth, a really entertaining game. Got weird at times. The finish a little anticlimactic, depending on who you were rooting for, I suppose. But a doozy of a Thursday night football game that may make us reconsider the state of the NFC West.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, a game that I thought was going to be a rock fight, Shook. It was going to be like 15-12. Ultimately, they were going up and down the field. And so let's look at the history on those chess moves and start this game with there's dealing, and then there's how Mac Jones started the game on the first two drives. He completed 11 of 13 passes, one to Jake Tonjes for a touchdown. Another one where coming into this game, considering the injuries and the way Kendrick Bourne had played, foreshadowing for what we'll discuss as the game goes on, I thought this was going to be all CMC, and it started with a touchdown pass to Christian McCaffrey. And let's watch and listen to it.
Love the matchup McCaffrey's got right now.
Mac Jones throws. McCaffrey! He's got it! Touchdown! 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 49ers! And it's a 2-score lead here early in the second quarter.
All Niners at that point, Shook, and when the call can see the matchup on the goal line, and everybody knows, right? It's not, you don't want to be out there all alone with 23. Surprise, surprise! It results in a touchdown.
Yeah, it's a very standard rollout play that you run on the goal line. You just hope to create enough of a crease that your defender's never going to catch up and undercut that play. And of course, that's what happened. But it really set an early shocking tone that the 49ers were able to grab a 14-0 advantage. It felt like they had prepared perfectly for what they were going to deal with in terms of disadvantageous circumstances, not having Brock Purdy, not having Jawan Jennings, not having Ricky Pearsall, and being forced to play with Mac Jones, who, by the way, a couple weeks ago suffered a knee injury that he was dealing with against the Cardinals that limited him in that game. Now, they didn't need him last week, but they certainly needed him tonight, and he needed his inner strength to be able to get through this game. So it was really important for them to get off to that hot start. They basically realized we're going to take what the defense gives us. We're going to move down the field efficiently. And I think it caught the Rams by surprise for almost 2 full quarters before they could kind of regain their bearings and figure out how are we going to counter this. And that's when the chess match really began.
Yeah, and one of those finding their bearings was a simple toss play from Stafford to Blake Corum. It gets credited as a Stafford fumble, but Blake got caught looking for his future instead of the football, and it results in a turnover that the 49ers are able to enjoy that CMC touchdown off. So at that point, 14-0. Again, Mac Jones is dealing, and Kendrick Bourne catches a couple drives on the catches a couple of balls on the drive, and then there's a third down where he just puts one on the turf. And there's life for the Rams. They come back and score on a drive where Stafford uses Ferguson on third down, hits Kyron Williams for a 13-yard score. From that point on, like we have a really solid middle of the football game for both teams.
Yeah, and that was when I feel like you said, new life and really an opportunity for them to get back into this game. What's funny too is there was another sequence where the Niners had a chance to potentially go up 21-7, and instead they are limited to a 17-7 lead, and then they kick a field goal. They could have gone up 24-7. They kick a field goal to make it 20-7, and that was like one of those shifting points where you're like, they get in the end zone here, this game might be over. And instead, the Rams bow up and stop them. But it was those flash points within this game where it just like the tides just rose and fell throughout this game. And yeah, that it's interesting because another thing that developed throughout this game that I thought really changed the flow of it was the trench play. I know that's like my thing, right? But early on, the Niners are destroying the Rams in the trenches. They're getting great surge. They're doing whatever they want. They can't get pressure on Mac Jones. They're allowing him to get those balls out quickly. And then by the second half, the Rams realized we have to change the way that we're approaching this game. We have to move Jared Verse into the A gap. We have to mug him in the A gap and just confuse what Mac Jones is looking at. And that's when another point in the game in which it really changed. But yeah, the Rams needed that first entry back into this game for it to even be an entertaining contest.
Yeah, there was, as we get into the second half, Nate Landman, excuse me.
Great
Landman,
night for him.
But we love calling him Landman. Makes a great play on a third down where the 49ers ultimately had a 4th and 1 deep in their own territory. Kyle Shanahan goes for it. But then as they get a little farther down the field, Landman makes that play. And then the ensuing drive is all Stafford to Devontae. This is that connection where, there may have been some bogut illegal screens out there to kind of free up Devontae, at this point in the second half. But you really saw that connection really start to get going in the middle part of the second half, and it leads to a touchdown. But Cardi comes out, and the extra point's no good, and we all put a pin in that one because it just felt like at that point that would have given the Rams a 1-point lead. Like this is going to come back and absolutely brutalize Los Angeles.
Yeah. The Rams were kind of peeking around the curtain with their failure in the detail department. There was a sequence earlier in the game where they had 3 drops in a row that killed one of their drives. Corum dropped one of the flats. Kyron Williams dropped one that would have been a first down. They were missing tackles pretty consistently. They're just the little detail things. They were not doing well. And then the ugly head rears itself again, and that is their field goal unit has not been consistent when it comes to blocking this season. That was their 4th kick blocked this season. We know what happened in Philly with the 2 kicks blocked. They had 1 blocked against the Titans. This one keeps it a tie game and makes us all realize, we're in for one now. Instead of a 1-point advantage, we are firmly in the potential overtime zone, which is exactly what we ended up getting. But yeah, it was the details. And also on that drive, I love the way that this game unfolded, because for most of the night, the Niners are playing zone, and for some reason they go to man in that drive, and Adams just completely torches them. It's just Stafford and Adams. Like, he's running great routes. He's separating from a rookie corner. We've got a dime from Stafford over the middle and in between 2 defenders to Adams, who broke free from another defender. And I think even Herbstreit mentioned on the call, he's like, now they're suddenly running man, and it's killing them. And I don't think they did it very long. In fact, according to Next Gen, they only ran man coverage on 10 total defensive plays, and I can see why. But it was a great opportunity for the Rams to get back into the game and for Sean McVay to quickly identify that and work in tandem with his quarterback to get Devontae Adams open, which opened up the rest of their offense. Because for a while, too, Puka Nacua was not a major factor in this game, and that all kind of changed in the second half.
Yeah, and especially in the second half over on the Rams' defensive side of the ball, Braden Fisk had a good shot on Mac Jones in the red zone on what ultimately was a scoring drive for the 49ers. Young, as well as Turner, all got hits on Mac Jones that started to really accumulate on the quarterback. At one point, I wondered if his knee brace shook, had actually stabbed him in the calf, and that's what he was reacting to. Is Verse lands on top of him, and so the Rams were able to get a stop. So a tie game, 8 minutes to go in the third quarter, a crucial 3rd and 1, and it's back to those details you were talking about, Shook, because Devontae and Stafford are on different pages on an option route, and they wind up punting the ball away. And I wondered how you felt about that play call, because, I mean, it's 2 vets, 2 guys who maybe go into Canton. You take that L when you can get a chance.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought this up, because that was the stretch in the game in which I felt Sean McVay like many Madden players, for example, fell in love with the pass too much.
Yeah.
He went away from the run way too heavy in that stretch of time. And I think it was because it worked so well in the previous drive that they're like, let's just keep riding the hot hand. And there was a pass, I think, on that drive early in that sequence where he misses downfield, where you're like, why are you taking a shot 15 yards down the field when it's 1st and 10? I guess I understand that if you're, if the passing game is heating up, but 2nd and 3rd down, they're still throwing, and they just became unbalanced. And I think that really pained them in that stretch and allowed, because it was a back and forth. They punted away pretty quickly. The Niners punted away pretty quickly. There was a bit of a stalemate between the two sides where I felt they both kind of got out of their comfort zone, out of their rhythm, and had to reset. And luckily they did, because it set up for a great final quarter.
Yeah, in that final quarter, after Stafford and Devontae can't link up, it's a spectacular punt. SoFi's going nuts there at the 2-yard line. And then we get the Mac Jones drive, Shook. The absolute Mac Jones drive, which includes dump-offs to CMC, a couple of balls to Kendrick Bourne, and Eddie P, making a kick. His eyes getting big as saucers. He's talking to everybody, just doing what Eddie Pinheiro does at this point. But the Rams get the ball. They have an opportunity. And Alfred Collins, the rookie out of Texas, makes the play of the game on Kyren Williams at the goal line.
Hands to the face.
Stafford gives Kyren Williams, and he is...
Ball out!
He fumbled it! The Niners are saying they got it. The play was shy of the line to gain. Wait for a signal. They're unpiling everybody at the 1. The 49ers come out of there. Alfred Collins has the football. Oh!
And so that with so many of these fumble situations, you get the shot of Kyren Williams getting brutalized over just doing it to himself on the sideline. He's beside himself. I'm of the mindset, Shook, when Al Collins not only hits the ball there, he hits the ball on the follow through. He essentially punches Kyren Williams in the face. That was just a great defensive play, where it's not like Kyren Williams wasn't protecting the football. It's just a big man got a great shot on the ball in a big moment and also recovered it. Just a huge play by the rookie.
We all need to take a moment to thank Charles Peanut Tillman for his impact on the game. He's been retired for a while now, but it is evident in the way guys tackle every Sunday in every game. And this is the 3rd time I can think of a running back getting the ball punched out in almost the exact same way on the goal line in the last 2 weeks. It happened to Ramondre Stevenson against the Steelers in week 3. It happened to Braylon Allen against the Dolphins on Monday night at the end of week 4. And now we go into week 5, and you see it in the first game of that week, and it's a crucial play, because if he scores there, I think that game is largely over unless the Niners can find a way to get down the field, which I don't think they were going to be able to. And this is just an example of how these Niners, all these injuries that they've suffered, like they are a walking, traveling mash unit. And yet somehow guys step up and make plays in clutch situations like that. It is an absolutely phenomenal tackle. One of the best plays you're ever going to see from an interior defensive lineman, with the game on the line, coming in from behind and knocking out, and then also recovering it. And I think that it was so shocking in the moment, but it was also at the end of a sequence in which the Rams had all the momentum behind them. They were cruising down the field. Stafford's hitting Adams. He's hitting Puka. Kyren Williams bounces a run that was supposed to go left to the right side for a 20-yard gain. They looked destined for the end zone. The Niners could not stop them. And with 3 feet between the Rams and the lead and possibly a win, the Niners find a way to respond and keep this thing a close game.
There was daylight between Kyren Williams and the end zone if Collins does not get that ball out. I'd make the case Collins not only got the ball back, but he prevented the touchdown because Williams was going in. And, those who believe in the Mo might ask why it did not provide the Rams with the touchdown, because you have to make the plays. You have to do the things. The preceding plays can't make the subsequent play for you. And Alfred Collins understands that. And shout out to Charles Peanut Tillman, who recently left Kash Patel's FBI, not necessarily aligning with its vision for law enforcement. And so at that point, the 49ers get the ball back. Yay, congratulations. The problem is the Rams had all 3 of their timeouts, and Kyle Shanahan, with a quarterback who has struggled to get on and off the field, Shook, at that point, elects to be very conservative. I also wonder how you feel about that series from the 49ers, where they essentially ran about 12 seconds off of the clock and got Stafford the ball back around midfield.
Yeah, I mean, the entire passing game, the whole evening was predicated on getting the ball out quickly. But when you're backed up against your own goalpost, you're on the 1 yard line. The Rams have no reason to respect the deep shot when they know that you have no room to navigate in the pocket and find something deep. So they're going to play press coverage. They're going to create tight passing windows. And it wasn't until that third down when they got the ball out and got closer to, well, actually it was a prior drive, but like they were in this situation a couple of times because of great punts and then the great punt and then the turnover. And it wasn't until the third down after the great punt that they were able to throw the ball toward the sticks. And in that situation, why would I trust Mac Jones to do anything but hand the ball off 3 times and at least make them burn their timeouts, punt the ball down there, give him, 60 yards or so to work toward to get into field goal range. You know that their field goal unit's not good, and exhaust them of their timeouts so that they at least have to move up tempo and feel the pressure of having to go no huddle in that sort of situation. It made sense. It's a tough situation to be in, but at that point you're at risk management, and with a 3-point lead clinging to it on the road, even though it was kind of a home environment, it made the most sense to me, even if it was definitely not aggressive.
And so the Rams get the ball back. There's a Cardi field goal. We go into overtime. In overtime, Mac and CMC link up. There's another completion to Kendrick Bourne. Eddie P puts one through, and we're thinking, okay, Stafford and the Rams get the ball back. They have an opportunity to go and score. And then we get the sequence that ultimately led to the game-deciding play, Shook. There was we discussed before we got going here, but immediately after the game, there's a third and short. They get not a lot of yards. It's a 4th and 1. Ultimately for the game, Sean McVay is calling the play immediately. As soon as the receiver catches the ball short of the line to gain, the play calls immediately. Plays in motion. Kyle Shanahan calls timeout. They go to a different play. What do you think took place there between Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan in that timeout? Because I think that timeout might have won them the game.
Yeah, I think it did too. And I think your theory that we discussed before is absolutely right, that they were going to run the play that they were in repeatedly to Cooper Kupp in the Super Bowl. And they have a guy to do that. They have 2 guys that they can team up to make that happen again in Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. And I think they got the look that they wanted. And Kyle knew, again, this goes back to being from the same coaching tree, having so much experience coaching against each other. He knew exactly what was coming. And he was going to do everything within his power, burn that last time out to stop it from happening right before his eyes. And yeah, I agree, because that timeout forced Sean to think twice, to come out and try to draw them offside, and that didn't work. And at that point, it gets weird because you're like, well, I've already committed to going for it on 4th and 1. I've already taken the confidence out of my kicker's brain that I think that he can kick it, even though it was a makeable field goal. You're almost overly committed to it, and you have to do it now. You've already kind of sealed your own fate. The call itself on 4th and short was very regrettable. And that doesn't even come down to the results. It comes down to the fact that you did not win the trench battle for most of the night, save for when you had, some improvisation on the part of your running back, and their right side of their line gets completely caved in by Michael Williams. And Kyren Williams, as soon as I saw it from the snap, the prime vision camera is directly over the play, and you can see the right side line just get caved in. And I'm like, as soon as the ball snapped and they hand it off, I just went, it's going nowhere, not going to get it. And I never had a chance. And I think that was when Kyle and Sean caught themselves in a staring match. Neither refused to blink, and one of them paid the price for it.
And these two have had some great ones. They've gone back and forth, and it reminds me last year, Shook, when there was a hurt Rams team that got an out of nowhere win against the 49ers. The roles have reversed. The 49ers got their revenge, and they got a win. And the Rams will, have a chance to go on the road and take on a hurt Ravens team. Which, a lot of folks dealing with injuries right now on October 12th. And the 49ers are going to be on the road to take on the Buccaneers on that same day. It's the extra rest needed after this one, because they got the bonus football on Thursday night with Al and Kirk on the call, and, Sam on the call for those of us ball knowers who are also watching on Prime Vision, which is,
superior.
Before we say goodbye, you guys got to watch the Prime Vision version of the broadcast. It's everything we wanted as children, and we get it. We get it once.
I could probably do without some of the overlays following the players at certain instances, just because it complicates the picture a little bit. But everything else is just you can see how defenses roll their shells and their coverages. They'll show quarters. They roll it to 3. You see a safety come down and try to play the robber. You can see stunts. You can see how pre-snap motion diagnoses man and how they instantly have guys open. The Rams or the 49ers, Sam comes on and starts talking about how down here the 49ers like to run condensed sets and target outside the numbers, and they instantly go to Bourne for a completion that sets him up for a first down and an opportunity to get some points on the board. And I'm like, this is beautiful when it happens because he's right. He goes back to it again and it doesn't quite work out for them. But I'm like, this is the marriage of analytics and advanced metrics, scouting, and watching it all play out in real time. And I think it's such an informative tool. This game itself is so worth watching. Going back and watching, if you have NFL Plus, watch the Prime Vision replay of it, because it will help you learn so much about the chess match that we just watched, so much more than the traditional broadcast gives you. And I think it's just a great example of how two coaches can go back and forth in a game, and you can watch it all unfold before your eyes. And it also makes you realize how fast these games go. Because when you're watching on TV, you're seeing shots of the sideline, shots of the coach, shots of fans, and then they're breaking the huddle. That's not really happening when you're watching Prime Vision. And you realize, oh my God, this play clock, this 30 seconds is for real between these two guys. And I want to make one last note. Yeah, because the story at halftime was all about Mac Jones. And an essential reason why the Niners won this game is because of the play of Mac Jones. It's also because of how Kyle Shanahan schemed up to get Mac comfortable. But I don't think it happens if he doesn't have his old Patriots teammate Kendrick Bourne out there, because they hooked up for 10 catches for 142 yards, and he was an absolutely vital part of this offense. And it just goes to show that even when you're without your top 3 receivers, if you want to count Brandon Ayuk, that guy you picked up because the Patriots let go can play a huge role in your offense, and a lot of it has to do with familiarity in a big spot.
Yeah, a key part, because I remember there was the game before Kendrick Bourne signed, and they asked Kyle in the post game, what's going on with Kendrick Bourne. It's like, we tried. And I'm assuming Kendrick was telling them, yesterday's price was not today's price. And ultimately they found the correct price that led to a win on Thursday Night Football. A thank you to Guy Haberman and Tim Ryan of KSFO for the calls. A spectacular win for the 49ers and a spectacular football game for us all to watch, again, on Prime Vision. So you won't be going into work on Friday and talking about the 49ers wanting it more. You can talk about manipulating the middle of the field defender within this Kyle Shanahan offense. For Nick Shook, I am Patrick Claybon. Looking forward to wrapping up these games for Week 5 coming up on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. See you when the football's over. Bye, everybody.